It was Storm Darragh which was causing havoc across the country at the weekend. But really for Mansfield Town, it's the Storm defeats which they need to be a little bit more cautious of. This time, a 2-1 defeat at home to Huddersfield Town sent the Stags to a 5th successive League One loss. But again, it was a game in which the Stags played well, and you could argue they were unlucky to come away with absolutely nothing. There's no denying they're weathering the storm at the moment, but with the return of Rhys Oates, could they be about to turn a corner? Or is it too much to put on one man's shoulders? Join us as we talk all about that here on the Mansfield Matters podcast tonight. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because win, lose or draw, Mansfield always matters. Returning faces, I've got a funny feeling that's going to be a theme of tonight's show. Get involved in the comments as always. Hello and welcome to the Mansfield Matters podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. The countdown to Christmas is very much on, and the countdown to Mansfield Town winning a game again has been on for the last 5 weeks. We can't wait for them to win a game. We've all written our letters to Santa, hoping to God that Mansfield Town will turn a corner eventually and start picking up some points in League One once again. Joining me to talk all things Mansfield Town tonight, let's say hello and good evening to our Mansfield Matters panel. First and foremost, let's say hello to our late call-up again. Nick said beforehand, Craig, that I've got more squad members, more podcasters than Nigel Clough's got squad members. It's great to have you on again. Fathead's back. This must be the hat-trick now.
I think it is, Craig, yeah, and enjoying it as well. So, thanks for having me, and good evening, everyone.
Always a pleasure. No match ball, though. Nothing special for your hat-trick appearance, I'm afraid. Also joining us tonight, the man with more shirts than Christmas cards. It's Nick of Mansfield Town Shirts fame. Evening, Nick.
Hello, Craig. Good evening, everybody.
And do you know what? We're in trouble. And whenever we're in trouble, whenever something sort of starts to go a little bit awry, you can always guarantee that there'll be one man that comes from nowhere to save us all. I can't believe that for the first time in 2 series on this podcast, I'm about to say this. Good evening, Nathan Edge.
Good evening, Craig. Good evening, everyone.
It is so lovely to have you back. Welcome back to the Mansfield Matters podcast. Can you remember how any of this works?
Not really, but I'm here to talk about Omari. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's a bit out of date, isn't it? No, I'm up for this. I'm happy to be back. And one thing you can't call me is a glory podcaster because, I'm here after 5 straight defeats. So come on, let's be having you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we are delighted to have you back. Welcome back. I've missed you. Looking forward to you talking about throwing certain players off cliffs. It'd be interesting to find out who that's going to be because obviously your beloved Ollie Clark is no longer here, is he?
No, but we'll call it the Clark Cliff. So, we'll see who's going to be teetering over the edge this week.
I feel like that's a good name for it, the Clark Cliff. And Nick's pointing to Aidan Flint in his backdrop. So Nick's backdrop, Nathan, for your benefit, over his shoulders, over his right shoulder, he's got Rhys Oates' match-worn shirt. Over his left, he's got Aidan Flint's, or whichever way around it is that we're looking at on the screen.
Topical.
And 2 footballs as well. I don't know whether he's going to throw them at the screen or whatever later on. As always, if you're listening or watching the live feed, feel free to get involved in the comments and have your say on your team. Anything Stags related you want to talk about, we will do so. Craig, I'll come to you in just a second. But first, as it's your first podcast back of the season, Nathan, the first one in League One. When we started this podcast, that was the ambition, wasn't it?
It was. It's nice to be in League One, and I guess it's nice to be coming up against the likes of Huddersfield, Barnsley, Birmingham, those type of teams. Although the results haven't been going our way of late, it's still. I mean, would you rather be playing the likes of Barrow, Bromley, Harrogate? I know we might be getting 3 points in those, but at least we're competing with the type of level of teams that we want to be competing with. So it's good to be back in League One, I'd say.
What have you made of the Stags' start to life in League One? Because obviously promotion triggered you moving back to the area and being able to come on and do this again.
You could say that. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of. I was going to say it's what we expected, but it's not, because we got off to such a good start. I think it all got our hopes up a little bit, and maybe expectation levels for some people. I think the majority of fan base are understanding, but for some people, probably expectations levels rose a little too high because of the start we had. But I mean, and if you look at it, if the wins we've had, if you spread them out over the season a bit a bit more, so it wasn't 5 straight league defeats, then it probably wouldn't feel. You'd probably say, it's kind of it's a good start to the season. We're sitting, mid-table, happy with that. But it feels a bit more gutting the way it's just been the last few weeks, especially because for me the performances have been there. But obviously the results haven't come with it. But I think I'm still pretty happy of where we are, and I've got confidence that I don't think it's going to continue in this form. I think the performances, if the performances weren't there, then yeah. I just think a few tweaks, a bit of luck, and a couple of maybe personnel changes, including that hopefully Reece Oakes return, might just give us a bit of a boost that we need to turn these losses into some points on the board.
I think it's a fair point that Nathan makes there, Craig, about the condensed nature of these defeats. If we were sort of sitting here in this position that we were, and those 5 defeats had come sort of every 2-3 games, it wouldn't be as much of an issue. It's the fact that we are in such a rut that we can't seem to win games, and the fact that they just seem to keep coming, that it makes it a little bit more of a concern.
Yeah, absolutely, Craig. Fully support what Nathan said. I think, first and foremost, at the start of the season, if you'd have said, you could be 10th in the league at this point in the season, would have took it all day long. The fact that we had such a good start to the season, and then we've just started on a bit of a downward spiral, bit of a losing streak. I think we'll turn the corner. But I think you're absolutely right. Had it been spread out, pretty even, throughout all the games, we probably wouldn't be as worried as what we are. But I think we'll turn the corner at some point.
Have we got a right to be worried at the minute, Nick, considering that, again, we played well on Saturday against Huddersfield, had the chances, but ultimately walked home with nothing?
I think we have to a point. I think Nathan and what Craig said is correct. If we hadn't have had those 5 victories in a row, maybe the defeats and the 4 victories before that hadn't been in a row and they were interspersed a little bit, it might look different. Again, we are 10th still, aren't we, somehow? I'm not quite sure how, but we are still 10th. We've still got, I think we've now got a 0 goal difference, I think. So we haven't got a negative goal difference yet. But I suppose it's how long it goes on, doesn't it? I mean, when you start getting 6 and 7 and 8, I suppose you do have to get worried. But I thought we were really flat Saturday first half. I thought that was as poor as we've played for a while first half. But then we all of a sudden came alive in the second half when he made a couple of changes and switched to 4 at the back. I think helped a lot. But I'm not massively worried because, like everybody else has said, I mean, losing to the teams we've lost to, did we expect to beat Wrexham away? Not really. Would we expect to beat the league leaders who'd won 9 in a row away from home? Not really. Would we expect to beat recently relegated Huddersfield? Not really. So I think it's just because they're all in a row, isn't it? We had a couple of 4 or 5 easier fixtures against teams who weren't playing well, and we beat them all. And then all of a sudden we've come up against some more difficult. Like we've said before, Nigel's a bit of a streaky manager, isn't he? He'll happily lose 5 in a row and then lose 5 in a row, which is exactly what we've done. So I'm not massively worried because we haven't looked particularly bad. I think first, if we'd have had a second half like with the first half, I would have been a bit more worried. But yeah, I think there's enough. I've seen enough to think that we'll be okay. But yeah, we need to end it pretty quick, don't we?
It's a weird one, Nate, because we sort of go back historically with Stags managers, and any other Mansfield manager in previous history loses 5 games in a row, and they're very lucky to hold on to the jobs. But I think we've all got this inner belief in Nigel Clough that it is only a blip, it is only a little bit of bad luck here and there, and we've all sort of got this confidence that he'll turn it around. I've not heard one Clough out comment. I've not heard one boo. Everyone seems to be pulling together and everyone seems to accept that it just is what it is, which is strange.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple on social media, but you don't know if they're sarcastic, kind of taking the mick kind of thing, do you? So it's hard to say. But I mean, if anybody was thinking about a managerial change, they'd seriously need to give their head a wobble, and I think most people with any common sense wouldn't be thinking that at this stage. I mean, you kind of go back. You think back to Northampton a couple of years ago. That was a really sort of low point. Obviously, this was League Two, and things were massively against us. And I think that was after a bit of a. I don't think it was all a losing streak, but it was certainly a winless streak, wasn't it, at that point? So that was kind of rock bottom. But then we just bounced back. Something clicked, and everything changed. So. Do I think we'll go on another run like we did at that point? No, because we're up against much better opposition. But, I think we've got we've got a manager who, will change it. He's got the tactical nous and the ability to manage the situation. He's been in it before, not just with us, but with other teams as well. So, I don't think there's anybody else. I wouldn't even be looking for anyone else, certainly at this stage anyway. But I don't think there's anyone else out there at the moment that you could think, come in and change anything immediately. So I think that part of the discussion shouldn't even be happening. But I think I've got a lot of confidence that we will certainly turn it around. Will it be easy? No, but just down to the fact that the performances for the vast majority of time has been really good. So our luck's got to change at some point.
I'm going to put this scenario to you, Craig. We keep playing well for the next 5 games, but we don't get a single point, thus making it 10 games on the spin without a win. What do you do then?
Yeah, that is a really good question, Craig. I didn't see that one coming. That would be a difficult position.
That's my line.
Wouldn't certainly? It'd be a difficult position. Difficult for the club. I think, we know what Nigel can do, but I think, losing 10 on the spin, that would be a really difficult place to be. I think we've already said, haven't we, that we need to do some business in January. I know we've got Reece Oates coming back, and, there's I don't think we'd really know what we're doing in front of goal. Yes, we had chances on Saturday, but we need to bring, I think, even on top of Reece Oates, another goal scorer, just so we've got confidence, in that around their box and start scoring goals again. We're not shipping goals at the back. Yes, okay, we let 2 in on Saturday. The other ones were just 1-0 wins. We've got different defenders we can play. We've got different who can play different positions. It's not through lack of defenders, and we're not shipping goals. It's just we're just not scoring goals, are we? We're just not putting our chances away and getting a bit of a break, as Nigel would say.
I want to come to the striker thing in a little bit, because obviously Nick's got the 2 shirts behind him, which are subtle clues to remind me later on that they are hot topics. But Nick, I just want to stay with that scenario that I put to Craig a moment ago. Five games time, we're still playing well, but we've still lost 5 on the spin, making it 10 on the spin. Looking at those fixtures as well, Charlton away, Rotherham at home, Peterborough away on Boxing Day, Reading away, the final game of 2024, and then Bolton at home on New Year's Day. That'd take us right into the new year. If we were to not win any of those games, if we were not to pick up any points in those games, making it 10 defeats on the spin, yet we're still playing well, do you stick with it, and do you still believe it'll be all right in time, or would you be thinking something needs to be evaluated here?
I can't see it happening myself, but I think he presided over a 1-1 in 14, didn't he? When that first season in the playoff, we won. When we got to the playoff final, we won 1 in 14. So that's just about as bad as it gets, isn't it? I can't see it happening. If it was to happen, I'd still back Nigel. I think he's the best manager in my lifetime. I can't see anybody else who you'd come in and go, oh, they're better than him. Would we let him take us down if it happened? I don't know. I don't think they'd sack him personally. I don't. If you're talking like 15 in a row, maybe, if you got a bit mental, but I can't see it happening. But I do think that the best man for the job is Nigel. He got us here, and I absolutely believe that he'll keep us here, and stay with it. I think he will. I think he'll turn it around. But the daft thing is, not a lot to turn around. We're not playing badly, are we? It's not like we need to turn around performances. We're not playing that badly. I think our look needs to change, and as with Mansfield, it will do. It'll change at the most random point in time, and everyone will be saying a defeat, and we'll win out of nowhere. That's what'll happen. But yeah, hopefully it's Saturday.
Fingers crossed.
So I hope so. It better be.
Fingers crossed. Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team in the live feed comments. Roy's been in touch, Nathan, and says he's not concerned. Again, please remember we are playing big clubs with good players. This is not League Two. And I think that's probably why we're a little bit more reserved when we're talking about these 5 defeats on the spin, because again, casting your mind back to 2-3 seasons ago, if we were talking about 5 defeats on the spin, well, we'd all be sort of saying the words in the group chat, managerial change special soon.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's we are coming up against such much better quality, and I think that the important thing is it's just a bit, as we sort of already mentioned, the fact that all the wins sort of for us came at one point, but you kind of look at it, and for the majority, we've beaten the teams that you kind of hope we would beat. You know, the teams that are down there. You know, your Cambridge, your Bristol Rovers, and those teams that are. I mean, we should have beat Burton as well, but in Shrewsbury. So you've got all of those that you can look at it and think, right, actually, you know what, this could go either way. You fancy us a little bit to for these ones to finally, well, not to finally, but to get the 3 points in, and then you've like Nick pointed out, the games that we've lost of late or drew. Wrexham, Birmingham, Wickham, really tough games. Two of them, for example, away from home as well. So again, I just think it's the way the fixtures have fell, and the fact that we got off to such a good start because we had some of the, teams we would expect to get a bit more from all in one go. And credit to the lads, they did the job at that point. But it's not going to be that plain sailing, and I mean, I didn't realise how tough the next 5 fixtures are going to be as well. When you read that out, I was thinking, God blimey, it's I don't think we're going to lose all 5, but it's difficult to look at that and think that one's a real opportunity to get 3 points. I think they're all going to be real tough matches for us. But again, I'd rather be competing against these type of teams than in League Two and where we've been for the last God knows how long. We've got a different challenge, so. Let's relish it. And at least the lads are putting in 110%. When that happens, you can't fault them too much.
On the flip side to all of that, Craig, Simon's been in touch tonight and says, right to be concerned, struggling to score, and defence with certain players looks shaky with a lack of pace.
We've talked a lot about the defence, haven't we? And although we've got different choices of defenders, I think there's different views around what is our best or the back or back. I'm still out really for me, Craig, and he needs to be in there. What a great player! I still rate Cargill, although some people might sort of not blame for one of the goals, but got caught a little bit on Saturday. But I think Kilgore, once he gets really match fit, I think we've got a good choice of defenders. I'm not sure what our strongest back 4 or back 5 is quite at this moment in time. But they're not bad players. On their day they can perform. It's just we keep getting caught out, don't we? Got caught out. On Saturday, for both goals, really. But I'm not massively concerned around the defence. They can do a job on their day. I'm more concerned at the other end of the field, the fact that we can't put the ball in the back of the net enough. That's where my concern lies, Craig.
Well, I'm going to come to the man who is almost playing, the angel and the devil tonight with these 2 hot topic strikers in defence. Over one shoulder, he's got a match-worn Resoach shirt. Over the other, it's a match-worn Aidan Flint. Let's stay with Aidan Flint for now then, Nick. I was sent this screen grab by our PPG, Podcast Predictions Guru, Ben, at the weekend, and it reads, Stags without Flint, 1-1 draw against Stockport, 2-1 win over Cambridge, 2-1 win over Shrewsbury, 2-0 win at Northampton, 2-0 win at Crawley, 2-0 win at home to Blackpool, 1-0 loss at home to Stevenage, 2-1 win at Wigan away, 1-1 draw with Birmingham at home, and then it says Stags with Flint, 4-1 loss at Lincoln, 1-0 loss at Wrexham, 1-0 loss at home to Bristol Rovers, 1-0 defeat at Wickham, 3-1 defeat at Bolton, and he came on at 1-1 and played in the 2-1 defeat at home to Huddersfield. I don't think you can attribute all of the blame to Aidan Flint, if at all any. However, I don't believe in coincidences that much in football.
I think I mentioned it on last week's podcast. I think it's just he's got to be selective with Flint. I think there's games that he will thrive in and games that he won't. And I didn't feel like Saturday was necessarily the game for him. We brought him on at Birmingham and I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was outstanding when he came on against Birmingham. They threw everything at him and he beat everybody in the air. You know, your £20 million strikers, your 10 million, your internationals for Scotland was up there and he just bullied them. I didn't necessarily feel that Saturday was his game. Looking at the pace and the presence they had out wide, I thought, is he going to get stretched a bit? And ultimately, it wasn't really at fault for necessarily any of the goals, but it does stick out a little bit. It doesn't help that he's absolutely massive, so you can see him from a mile off. So he catches the eye when you're looking, but I think he's just got to be selective. And I feel at the minute we have got enough defenders to not play him in certain games where he could get exposed. And I thought he got exposed on a big pitch at Bolton when we're down to 10 men, and he got massively exposed at times on Saturday. Just needs to be selected. Like he got an assist for the goal, didn't he? He won the header for the goal, so he's still a threat. But I think we just got to be selective. We've got more than enough. We've got Dave, you've got Cargill, you've got George Williams, you've got Barry, you've got Hewitt who can play at centre back as well. You've got Blake Tracy who can play centre back. You've got Kilgore. That's enough. Especially if we're going to play 4, which I think is our best formation. You only need 2 of those. I can't see the need to play Flint, especially when he had his mask on. So he was already at a bit of a disadvantage because he was wearing his fancy mask, which he'd never worn before, apparently. I just felt like it wasn't his game to play. And then, he's an easy scapegoat, isn't he? He's the captain or was the captain, and he's massive and everyone can dig him out quite easily. But yeah, he's not to blame wholeheartedly, without a doubt. But we've just got to be selective with certain players. And he is one of those that we have to be selective with.
It reminds me, Nath, of the John Joe O'Toole quandary, because when he came in, he was absolutely colossus for us in a back 4. We were playing really well that season, obviously got, to the playoff final, skip forward to the following season, and then we change shape and go to a back 5, and he's absolute toss and, didn't really perform for us, and then all of a sudden finds himself out the pecking order. Aidan Flint certainly won't find himself out of the pecking order or frozen out in the cold whatsoever, but it's the same parallels, isn't it? A little change of shape and it completely changes how a player is looked and how they approach the game and the impact they have on it too.
Yeah, at the moment he's edging towards that Clark Cliff, isn't he? He's not quite there, but he's getting closer.
I mean, Nath, I'm gonna give you a bit of advice. Aidan Flint's fucking massive, so please don't throw Aidan Flint off a cliff. I fear for your safety. You've got 2 kids
said he's
now.
edging. He's only edging. No, I mean the difficulty is. Whenever he plays, he is the captain. So to me, he's still the main captain of the team. So that, in a way, makes it hard to leave him out. You also look at it you read out those games that he's been involved with so far. Well, for some reason, he missed all the games that you'd say are the easier games, and he played in all the harder ones. So again, a little bit harsh on him. And it is easy to point the finger at him, I say, being the captain, and he has been at fault for some goals, but not all of them. The bit that gets me about him is these bloody diagonal balls that he tries to do every time, and it was awful for it on against Huddersfield when in those conditions as well. Clearly wasn't working, and he just kept trying and trying. I feel like if he just tries and plays a bit more of a simple ball and sorts out that type of side of his game, which is, for me, let him down more so than the defending at times. And like Nick said, playing him in certain games, or at least making sure he's got the right people around him. So if you are coming up against the quicker players, get some of the faster players like, Barry, although I don't really want a striker back there, although he's not really a striker anymore, is he? Williams, maybe. Get some pace back there. So that offsets the fact that Flint hasn't got the pace. Do you know what I mean? So I think at the moment, I think he needs to probably be on the bench and just work his way back in a little bit more, because we've got enough cover for him. But I can see the difficulty in leaving him out as well if he's the captain. I think it's got to be managed a bit better, but I don't think at the moment. I think it is certainly a topic and a thing that, an issue that needs to be looked at going forward for us at the moment.
I think for me, it's definitely managing him, Nick, because he's a player that has quality and in certain games will be absolutely colossus for us. But it's managing him in terms of A, who those opponents are against, and B, which system that we place. Because I felt really sorry for him on Saturday, because his default mode is bring the ball down, try and ping it long, try and play the diagonal ball, because that is just his game. That is what he does. Heads it, kicks it. That's literally just his default mode. Playing in those conditions, it was always going to hold up in the wind. It was never going to get to where it was going to go. So to try it, you just knew every time that he rolled the ball out in front of his feet, it wasn't going to get to where it was going to get, and you sort of accepted it. For me, I don't think he performs to the best of his ability when we're playing in that back five, so with three central defenders. However, what we did on Saturday for a little bit in the second half, for probably half an hour, 40 minutes actually, especially when we brought Reece Oates on, was to go in a flat 4-3-3, and in a back four, a standard back four with two centre-backs. I think that is where he'll come into his own, because you've got other players who are then, able to go on and give us that more attacking outlet. When you're playing with a back five, you sat back a little bit more and you need any defenders to come up and play, and it's just not his game. So it definitely is more about managing him in terms of the teams, but also managing the formation in which we're playing as well.
Yeah, you're right about the five. Your defenders have so much more time on the ball in a five and are expected to do more. I mean, I thought Cargill actually had his best game in the five on Saturday.
I agree.
He did almost a la Lewis Brunt last season, where he used to bring the ball out. And I was saying to my dad, I think the only player who beat anybody on the ball all game was Bailey Cargill, and he did it time and time again. He brought the team up 50 yards just by going on a bit of a mazy run. You're right, when they switched to the four, they looked a lot better. I think your expectation of a centre half in a back four is to give it to Reed, and Reed will do something with it. And also, you've got to think, when you're in a five, Flint's got one less person to aim at as well, because there's you're a player down, aren't you, up front essentially. And he tried switching it to left wing back and right wing, and it just didn't work, did it? But you're right, in a back four, he looks a lot steadier, which is weird, because you'd think a five would give him more support around him, but actually I think it leaves him more exposed by really showcasing the side of the game that he doesn't like. And I think in a four, it's very different. But again, it's got to be opposition and formation, hasn't it? You've got to pick the right games. You've got to scout the opposition. Have they got pace? Are they playing a five? What formation are they playing up? Flint being long balls against Ben Wayne and Piergiani is not going to happen, is it? You've got to suit who your opposition is and who we're playing, who we've got up front. So I think Clough's got a bit of thinking to do, but it's also awkward because Flint is probably a big character. Like I said, his contract dictates that he plays every game, but I think his expectation will be that he plays every game. So Clough's probably got that to manage. But there'll be a lot of defenders thinking, well, why am I not playing? I mean, George Williams has been mentioned in the comments, and we mention him. I'm going to set up a shrine to him so we can try and summon him so he'll appear out of somewhere, because I'm not sure. I don't know where he is.
He's in my bucket.
I think there's going to be an Indiana Jones and the Curse of George Williams, because hopefully he'll find him, because I haven't got a clue where he is. But
coming Christmas 2026.
Yeah,
no, he is. You're right, Nathan. You're right, Nathan. George Williams is the modern day Amari Sterling James.
Yeah. Just different position, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think like we said, selectivity, just play him in the right games in the right formation, but five at the back does not suit. Dave in the middle of that five is where it's at. A left footer on the left of him in Cargill, and then somebody who can play the ball on the other side, potentially Kilgore. Or someone who just plays it simple and doesn't try and ping it 50 yards every time.
Keep your comments coming in.
Sometimes, and maybe with Oates.
Sometimes. It does work. He plays some unbelievable passes.
It does. When it comes off, you're like, wow, that
Oh,
you can
you're
see
like,
his
oh my God, is that
championship.
Steven Gerrard?
Yeah, honestly, but it's just sometimes when it's clearly not working, he doesn't stop. He doesn't think, all right, this isn't working. Let's try something different. He persists with it, and just sometimes it just gets on my nerves. But like you said, maybe a different personnel formation, maybe it'll work. Maybe Oates coming back, or that's a different kind of threat in behind. That could work out better for him. So we might see a turn in form for Flint in that offensively anyway. In that sense. When Oates gets more involved, but it was winding me up anyway.
We'll talk more Oates later on. Craig, just briefly your thoughts on what we've just been talking about there, the Flint situation, the back 4/5/6/ whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. I agree with what's been said. I think it's a real difficult situation, isn't it, around Flint, because it was great for us last season. He absolutely played his part getting us up into League One, but he's getting older. He's not as quick as he used to be, and we're in League One now, aren't we? So not only is off the pace slightly, but also, as I mentioned, the long ball. The long ball absolutely on Saturday was not the way to play. So we might have to be brave, or Nigel might have to be brave, and leave him out, and let's see others come in and play their part. I think Nick's absolutely right. We've just got to vary it up and look at the opposition, and decide whether we play the 4 or the 5 against the opposition, and that will chop and change, won't it? And that doesn't always help when players are playing different systems. But I think you've got to do it. You've got to read your opponent and you do your homework, and that's what clubs are doing on us, aren't they? They're doing the homework.
Yeah.
They're stopping us playing out from the back. When Aikens plays the ball and holds the ball up front, he does a great job. But we've been worked out, haven't we? Clubs know what they're going to do, so you've just got to do our homework. But I think for me, I love Flint. I think he's great, but I think we need to probably be brave and go with some of the others.
And let's just get this clear for the record at 35 minutes into this podcast that neither Craig's, me nor Craig or Nick have said on this podcast that Aidan Flint should be thrown off a cliff. That honour belongs to Nathan Etch.
Didn't say that. I said he's edging closer.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team. We want to hear any comments about the weekend's game, anything Stags related you want us to talk about, we will do so. We've got a comment about Marish, which we'll come to in a minute, also about January transfer window and things like that as well. So let me just go through back through a few others. Roy has said that his pick of the defenders are Tracy, so Fraser Blake Tracy, Dave, Cargill and Macca for his defence. When talking about Flint, Ben says, fickle fans, Flint was a tower last season. He struggled a bit with pace this season and everyone piles on him. The frustrating thing on Saturday was him ballooning the ball up into the air, and also what's happened to Williams again. I think Williams, Nick, was due to take part in a friendly today. And Nigel Clough mentioned in his press that there was a game, Everton away at their sort of training ground, the likes of Oates. It was designed for him, I think, to get 60 minutes or so.
Yeah, McDonald as well, I think he said, which is a bit pointless. I don't know why he needs minutes. He doesn't, because you've not put him in the squad, so he doesn't need anything.
No,
he needs a transfer, I guess, or a decent agent. Yeah,
absolutely. What else have we got? Keep them coming in. Ben
said, for us.
I know, same. Ben says, I do think Brunt was a bit of a crutch for Flint's pace last season, and that's made a difference. And also adds, I'm starting to wonder if maybe Flint has lost the dressing room in a bit after Reed took the armband at the start of the season. Great start to the season overall, says Jack, but the lack of pace across the team is obvious. In defence, you tend to get punished for it the higher up the leagues that you go. Before we take a break, I want to touch on this comment, though, from Simon Craig. And he says, fans of Maris, what did you think of his position on Saturday? And I think that's referring to him playing much higher than he has before. He's almost playing as a striker on Saturday, and actually he did the same in the week, didn't he? As well, when we who did we play in the week? The Bolton game. He played up there in that game. Craig, what's your take on his reintroduction to the team with number 10 playing almost as a number 10?
Yeah, I'm all for it, if I'm honest. I think when I was last on the podcast, it might have been or the time before, I talked about Maris, and I said that I didn't think he was 100%, but I think he's absolutely getting there now. We're starting to see the old Maris. He's reading the game well, and I like him playing further up. That as you say, that true number 10 role, and feeding the ball through. We just need to get Oates back as well, so that we can get him running in behind and start seeing some of this all start coming together. But answer to your question, Craig, I like to see Maris pushing further up and start creating chances and putting balls through.
I mean, for once, Nick, I mean, I love Alan to bits, but I'm actually glad that Alan's not on the podcast tonight, because I think we would now spend the next hour of just Alan swooning over Maris.
I do agree with what Craig said to a point. I disagree with the up front bit. I think he should be behind, and I think that's probably what Craig was referring to, behind us. He needs to be behind the strikers. Playing him up front was just, he didn't know what he was doing, did he? He was lost. But then the second half, he dropped a bit deeper. I think Maris is the best of Maris. You need him on the ball. If he's up front, he isn't going to have the ball at his feet. He's going to be, some of our passing, it's at his shoulder, it's at his nose. It's supposed to be to his feet. Get him playing at that number 10, gets him on the ball, and he arrives late in the box, and he's one of our best finishers, and he always has been. I think that's, if we play that 4-4-2 diamond, the man to replace Keeler Dunn is Maris for me. Just play him in the hole behind two strikers. I mean, who those two strikers are, you could lucky dip it in a minute. But I would play Maris in that number 10 role behind two strikers, and I think that suits him because he arrives late in the box and can score goals. And I know somebody touched on Reed. There was a erroneous comment in the podcast chat about Reed on Saturday. He's one of the best players I've seen at this club. His passing is in the one pass, he judged the wind. He chipped it in the air and it back spun in the wind and just landed straight at whoever was running onto its feet. And somebody in the podcast crew said he was too negative.
Was that somebody by any chance?
I'm not saying. I'm not. It was.
Was it a Cam Felton?
Cat Felt, somebody like that. Cat Dealey. I don't know. No, not having it. I'm not having Reed too negative. Not having it. He's the only man who can pass forward. I'm not having it.
Now, Nathan, you mentioned earlier that you came on. You were disappointed that Cam wasn't on tonight because you were looking forward to having a bit of a ding dong with him. So he's not here. So slag him off.
No, honestly, sometimes I'm sorry, I have to mute the chat, but it's nothing to do with you guys. It's Cam. Every time we lose, honestly. No, I just could feel it. It's things like that sometimes. I do disagree with him as well. Again, like that comment about Reed as well. But yeah, well, I mean, we'll save it. We'll save it for another day when he's on, because I feel like there'll be some disagreements going forward.
Well, the Christmas special takes place on Friday, the 20th of December. Cam is attending in person. I can bring boxing gloves, Nath, if you want to, get it in the diary.
What an idea!
Can I bring Hiram Boateng?
Yes, you can dress up in a Hiram Boateng mask if you want. I know you've got
Nathan
one.
Can
because
be Reed.
I know you've got. I know you've got one, Nick, because your missus has told me, and she said she does not want that.
Not anymore. No, not after last time.
Not again, Nick. Not again.
Something.
Just dress up as somebody else. I've got Kilgore. That's better.
He's got a decent body, I've heard.
Oh my God!
Yeah, but not when I've got the mask on.
Oh my God!
There it is.
Before we take a break, I've got to put this to you, Nath, because there are many moments on this podcast which are infamous, and yours from a few seasons ago when you wanted to throw Ollie Clark off a cliff is still up there, and we still remind of it every single week. Ben says still missing an Ollie Clark style enforcer in midfield, and I happen to agree with him.
All right, maybe an enforcer. Ollie Clark missing. I'm gonna have to disagree. I mean, to be fair, he picked up after a while, but no, I disagree. I think we're most of the time pretty decent in midfield. I think, arguably, Dave could do that role. if you would dare take him out of defence.
No.
He's had
Don't
a
say that
couple
to
of runs in
Craig.
there, but
Don't say that to Craig.
That's like a red rag to a bull. That do not move Dave out of that
upsets him
5 or
deeply.
4.
if we could clone him, then if we could put Dave in there as well, then he could be a bit of an enforcer in that role.
Has Dave got a nephew?
Uncle Dave. Uncle Dave.
Yeah, well, we've got 2 Quins, haven't we? I just wonder if he's probably not old enough to be an uncle. We could have Uncle Dave, couldn't we?
Team full of uncles, just a team full of uncles.
We play like a team full of uncles. That's the problem.
Yeah. And the thing is, Nate, we've definitely sung worse, but we're definitely not going to sing what we used to sing because that is for the group chat and for behind the scenes. Thinking of Christmas songs,
Christmas special.
you know the one.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Do, 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 do. And on that note, let's go to a break. Why? Welcome back to the Mansfield Matters Podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. Great to have you with us this evening. Joining me on the Mansfield Matters Podcast panel, Mick of Mansfield Town Shirts fame, the reigning podcast predictions champion, Fathead, aka Gateford Stag, aka Craig, and a man who was here at the very, very start, and he's back. Nathan Edge is back, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to have him with us tonight, although he might not feel the same when we do podcast predictions later on. But before we get to that, we need to talk January transfer window. Nigel Clough has been talking in the press today, Craig, about what he wants to see happen in January, what might happen in January. He alluded to 3 out, 2 in, and even one of those would depend on Lee Gregory's injury situation. He said we should know more by the end of December, early January. It's a huge gamble, isn't it, to debate bringing a player in depending on one person's fitness, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think first and foremost, it's disappointing, isn't it? You know, Lee Gregory, what a great start to the season he had for us, and now with injury that's a little bit unknown, and you know, we really don't know when we're gonna see him back. I think I go back to my comment. I think it was 2 weeks ago. We've got to do some business in January. You know, for me, it's bringing a striker in, even if Gregory is fit. I just saw the firepower at the moment. Yep. Reece Oates is coming back, and let's hope we see the old Reece Oates. But I think even with Reece coming back, I think we need some more firepower. And then, yeah, we touched on it just before the break. I think we need to bring a midfielder in, someone to command that centre of the park, and start, you know, winning some of those balls, and yeah, just you know, getting the grip of what's happening in the centre of the park. So for me, yeah, we've got to do some business. You know, he's got his eye on people. Who they are, we won't know. You know, we try and second guess, don't we? But I don't know who we'd be looking at. But we've got to do some business in January.
Where's Paul Digby when you need him, Nath?
Bring back Omari. That's all I'm saying.
Oh dear, the classics. Nick, it is a bit of a concern for me. When I heard Nigel Clough's comment, I had to do a little bit of a double take. That, you know, I get that he wants to put his eggs in one basket in terms of putting it on Lee Gregory's shoulders, because when he is fit, he is going to play. There's no doubt about that. But even with him fully fit, it's still clear to me that we need another striker. He's never going to play Tom Nichols. Ben Wayne's not up to it. So we need to replace those two at the very least in one body. So to say that we're waiting on Gregory, whether or not we decide to bring in a forward attack-minded player, I think that's a little bit of a uninspiring comment for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was quite surprised when I heard that, because I assume 2 of the outs are going to be strikers, aren't they? Quinn out on loan is what he's always suggested, and Nichols is not going to play, and I assume the third will be Callum McDonald. That's just me guessing. If that's the 3 out, surely, yeah, I think he needs another striker. Even if he kept Nichols and Ben Quinn, we still need another striker for me, because what we've got hasn't been firing, and not having the other option puts more pressure on Evans. and it puts more pressure on Gregory when he returns. And I don't think either of those need the pressure particularly, especially when you're coming back from an injury. Evans has only been playing professional football a few years. Although he's a bit older than we expect, he doesn't need the pressure of a League One club being completely on his shoulders. So we definitely need a striker without a shadow of a doubt. And another position that I think's become worse the last month is right back. I think Akins is exposed at this level at right back. Although he's had some of his better games, I think he is better the further, especially if we play 4-3-3, he could play on the right wing. There's no doubt. That's where he played at Burton. And I think Hewitt's been exposed by his fitness. George Williams doesn't exist. So I think right back, we have got a problem. I think I don't know, I can't remember if both goals came from there. The first goal certainly did. We've had a few games where the Stevenage free kick came from the right back when they beat us. And I just think that's a bit of an issue. I mean, I'd be looking for somebody in midfield with a bit of grit, a right fullback and a striker for me. And I think 3 out, 3 in, I think would be sensible. But you're right. What Clough said did worry me slightly, that it's going to be a bit of a disappointing window, I feel, already.
I'll come back to the striker thing in just a second. But Craig, I think what Nick mentioned there about the right back situation is absolutely spot on. Elliot Hewitt, he's an absolute trier. He will play at 110% and give everything for the shirt, week in, week out. But he's not fit. He's not recovered fully from his long-term injury. He gives his all, but like Nigel Clough said in his press today, he literally can't do the demands of 2 games a week, which, as the season goes on, with all the postponements that we had early doors because of the international fixtures, it will get that way. And we have no, cover for it. George Williams, like Nick said, doesn't seem to exist. But even when he does, he's a better choice at right side centre back or central defence. Jordan Bowery is obviously an option in there that can do that, as is Lucas Akins. But neither are really the answer. And what we need is a qualified, right back. What it's like at the moment, it's like having, your electrics need doing, and rather than getting a qualified electrician, you've just got a mate who tinkers about with the odd remote control car. It's a completely different thing, isn't it? We need that right back cover, I think, more than anything else in the January window.
Yeah, I completely agree, Craig. And Nick 100% right. I think sometimes you forget about that position. It seems very much like the left back last season or the season before, when we were trying to get that position covered and we couldn't find someone to play there. Saturday we got exposed on the right. Absolutely, we could see that led to the first goal, certainly. So yeah, I agree with Nick. Yeah, we do need to bring someone in. I think Bowery does play better when he's in the centre. Akins, well, he got beat, didn't he, on Saturday? Looks a bit leggy. So yeah, we absolutely bringing someone in on that right hand side would be a really good call. Hewitt, he's not the old Hewitt that we had, not last season, but he gives over 100%, but he's struggling a little bit, isn't he? So we do need someone where we can keep rotating that position, because Hewitt can't play game after game. So yeah, I ultimately agree with Nick. They're the 3: right back, someone in the centre to command the centre of the park, and absolutely someone up front. But it didn't sound positive, did it? So we've just got to wait and see what that business looks like in January.
Now, in terms of the attacking mindset, Nath, one thing that Nigel Clough seems to be banking on is that return of Rhys Oates. We saw him come on and have an impact. He got a really raucous reception when he came on Saturday, and it did lift the crowd a little bit, made some good, determined runs. He seems to be wanting to play him down the right-hand side, and he's sort of alluded to that in his press a little bit. But again, it's going to be the same issue as Elliot Hewitt, isn't it? He's not going to have the physical demands to meet the demands of playing 90 minutes week in, week out, and it's a lot to put on his shoulders, almost unproven at this level as well. So is putting all your eggs in the Rhys Oates basket going to end up backfiring on Nigel Clough as well?
Potentially. I first and foremost, I'm very happy he's back. He's one of my favourite players at the club, simply because he's just one of those that gets you off your seat. And as we've seen it time and time again, he can make something out of nothing a lot of the times. And that's kind of what we need at this moment, right now, when not a lot seems to be coming off going forward. I think he's got the potential to, open up that possibility again for us. But expecting him, to do it week in, week out, obviously we've got to be patient with him. We've got to let him come back to the right levels. We obviously don't want him to, we see it so many times with players. They come back, and if we ask too much of them, they could get, the injury could come back and they end up out again for too long. So you got to handle that delicately, which is difficult. It must be very tempting to put him on, at the moment when you kind of need him. So with Gregory being out, etc. So you've got to manage that side of it. Like you say, he's never played at this level, so it's a different ball game for him to deal with. But I think we can only see it as a positive, especially given the circumstances. He will come on and change games, so at least we've got something on the bench. Because, like Nick said earlier, you looked at the players we have as backup options of, Ben Quinn, Wayne, and Nichols. Well, Nichols was never on the bench really, but none of them for me at the moment are good enough. So to have a different option like Riso to come on from the bench at this stage is only a big bonus. But that said, I agree with what's been said so far. We still need to make an addition up there, and like we've just said, those three names, they're three that I just don't think are going to cut it for us. So they're the ones I'd be replacing.
Keep your comments coming in. Ben says, Oates quite similar to Evans in terms of runs. I think we need more of a fox in the box as a partner for the front two, but he's a good option off the bench. Not convinced about Wayne so far either. Marie says, can't bank on Oates, feeling he's being rushed back too soon. And also alluding, Nick, to the friendly, which they played at Everton today. Don't know how they got on and don't know how much Rhys Oates played either. I have a feeling if he got through 60 minutes, that Clough might be tempted with him at Charlton in a 4-3-3, playing on the right-hand side of that front three. Big wide pitch, big area for him to play in, and it might suit his style a little bit. We've got to try something, and even if it just gets us through the next 4 games to take us to the end of the calendar year, that might be enough to then go, right, well, we now need to get a striker. We've got nothing to lose at this stage by gambling on him, but he can't be the long-term gamble. It's got to be a short-term fix at the moment, surely.
Yeah, I can't see him starting him personally on Saturday. He might come on. In a 4-3-3, I'd love to see Akins on the right and maybe Maka on the left. You used to be a winger for a start. You got Blake Tracy who could play left back. You got Cargill who could play left back. I just like something different. That's I don't know. I'm starting to get a bit tired of players playing out of position now when they don't need to. We start to get to that point now. We don't need to really play some of the back. Jordan's a centre back now. I get it. Whatever. He's not going to play up front ever again. But I think some of the experiments are probably done now, and we can start putting players back to where they usually play. But I just can't see Oates starting. He gave the crowd a lift, absolutely. A bit like when Kilgore come on. When he came on at Blackpool, he just gives the crowd a lift, doesn't it? And he did look threatening. But I think that's the only reason why is because he's the only resemblance of pace we had on the pitch. And all of a sudden they were like, well, hang on a minute, we've not set up for this. We're not set up for them to have a bit of pace. And you saw the difference. I mean, some of his crosses were horrendous, but he's just come back. I don't expect him to be brilliant. But he put the fear of God into their fullback, who until then had been sat on a beat. He may as well have had his swimming shorts on. And all of a sudden Oates came on and he was looking behind him, and all of a sudden there was room for Maris, there was room for Evans. I think that's we just get a bit of pace. Bit of every team we've played that's been decent has done us with pace generally. Bolton brought fast players on. Huddersfield did us with pace. A lot of teams have got pace and we haven't got that. And as soon as we had it with Oates, it changed the game. They all of a sudden they just got pinned back, didn't they? Because they knew that they couldn't they couldn't sit too deep because we were going to get the ball in front of them. If they pushed up too high, we were going to get in behind them. I don't think genuinely their defence knew what to do that second half.
Keep your comments coming in.
Score, I don't know.
Keep your comments coming in. Have your say on your team. Keely says Wayne, I think, could be good, but he gets pushed off the ball too easily. And talking about the whole Nigel Clough experimenting thing there, Nick. Rumour has it, Nigel Clough's letter to Santa this year, he has asked for a chemistry set to keep those experiments going.
I think that's a good. I think that's a good idea. If you could mackle together a striker, maybe out of his little plasticine set, and he could also send Wayne back at the same time with the same post box when he collects his presents. He can put Plymouth, just write Plymouth on his forehead and just post him.
Does that work? Who knows?
I don't know. We'll have Wayne Rooney instead. He'd probably be better.
No, I don't know. No,
I think the pace, not as manager. Just no, don't want to.
I don't think I'll have the pace at the minute, to be honest.
No,
better than Wayne.
Well, I don't know. Bring back Amari, Nath. Bring back Amari.
Oh,
I've got his shirt. I've got his shirt, Nathan. If that'll help.
Ooh,
next time you're on, I'll get it out.
Oh well, I mean, I won't be able to see it, but you can do it all you want.
Mansfield Matters out of context. Next time you're around, get it out. Jesus Christ! Clip that. Get that in. Clip that.
Christmas special, that one.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, indeed. Right, let's do this thing which Nathan Edge used to really enjoy because he used to win it every single season, and then well, he's got no points this year. I'm enjoying it the most. Let's play the jingle, shall we? So can you be the master or an embarrassing disaster? In this guessing game, there's a simple aim. It's outguess the rest and be the best. Win, lose or draw. Do you know the score? Who will be your hero to make sure you don't score zero? Yes, it may be fiction, but this is Podcast Predictions. What a jingle, Nate. You've missed that, right?
Yeah, it's very different to what it used to be.
So he's got the. That's why he disappeared. I saw Nick for a couple of seconds during the podcast predictions jingle, Nate, in my little window when I can see you all. He disappeared off screen. That's because he's dug out of. Well, I'll let Nick explain. What have you done, Nick?
It's something that Nathan would treasure and have on the wall somewhere. And it's got 2 numbers on the back and it's got 8 letters. And it's a Sterling James shirt. It's not. It's not really clever. It's not sweaty.
Think of a different player with 8 letters, but I couldn't do it. So
absolutely, no, I couldn't.
I thought it won't be sweaty. I only ever did 2 minutes.
Podcast posterity. Yeah, it's not sweaty.
It's a little bit of rich history, isn't it? An Amari Sterling James match-worn shirt, because like Nathan said, he never played. So
I need a naughty one for Clive, don't I?
I think that should be that should be the hunt, surely. All right, let's delve into podcast predictions, shall we? Right. First and foremost, apologies that I didn't post this week the winner of the week. I haven't really had time with a new job this last couple of weeks. So the winner of the week after the Huddersfield game was Dan Bauer. He got 19 points for his prediction. Clive finished in second place with 15 points. And Fathead, you finished in third, along with Marie Wilson, Otley Staggs, Darren Wood, Wes, Stephen Pound, Simon Wilson, Adam Crump, and Nick of Mansfield Town Shirts fame by all scoring 10 points each. So well done to you on that one. The best player last week to pick was Dave, who got 9 points. Will Evans with your second choice with 5 points. Make sure you join us next week when we talk about podcast predictions as we look ahead to some Boxing Day bonuses, and we'll reveal the table going into Christmas Day as well. First and foremost, though, we need to get our guesses in for the Charlton game. Craig, as you're the guest, I'm going to let you go first. So what will be the outcome? Win, lose or draw for you?
Yeah, thanks, Craig. So I think we look on Saturday. I don't think we'll quite make the win, but yeah, draw.
And what's going to be the score?
I think we're 1-1. 1-1 draw.
And who's going to be your hero to make sure you don't score 0?
And that will be Dave.
I'll make sure you put it in the link in the descriptions and make sure you get your guess in via the usual methods. Nick, I'm going to come to you next. Your prediction for Charlton away.
1-1 Maris.
I am going to go for an end to the losing streak. I'm going to go for a win. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Stags win. I'm confident we're going to turn it around. And Will Evans is going to find his scoring boots. Now, Nathan, before I ask you your prediction, do you know how this year's works? Because precisely this season, you've scored absolutely nothing because you've not taken part.
I'm a bit confused. How can somebody score 19 points? Like, how is it even possible?
Okay, so this year, Ben, our podcast predictions guru, he set the rules. So you predict whether we will win, lose, or draw. So first and foremost, give me whether we'll win, lose, or draw at Charlton.
Lose.
How many goals will Mansfield score?
1.
How many goals will Charlton score?
2.
And then, as per the EFL predictor thing, the fancy EFL game.
That's where you get your ratings.
That's where you get your points. That's where you win
Right.
it. So you pick a player who becomes your Stags fancy captain. So who are you picking?
Bailey Cargill.
There you go. So Nathan Edge now does get it. And in 3 games' time, we'll probably be top of the podcast predictions table, Nick.
That'd be nice.
Probably more than likely, considering my guesses, more than likely.
It can all change, and we'll have some bonus points, etc., etc. I'm sure on Boxing Day we will see what happens. Amazingly, Nath, even though you've not played this entire season, you're not actually bottom of the league.
Can you get minus?
Yes, you can. You lose points on your fantasy players. And there are people that are on minus points, so you're not actually bottom of the league. So there you go. Bottom of the Mansfield Matters League, but there you go.
Maybe that's what Mansfield should do. If we don't play any games, we'll just stay 10th, won't we? We'll be all right.
Maybe that is the answer. As always, if you want to play along with podcast predictions, you can do so via the link in the description. And remember, you must submit your guess no later than 1 hour and 1 minute before kickoff on Saturday afternoon as the Stags head for Charlton. I've gone for a win. Nick's gone for a draw. Craig's gone for a draw. Nathan has gone for a defeat because he's a pessimist. And we'll wait and see who scores the most points. Follow us on social media and we'll tell you who's won the week at the weekend. Right, time to tell you about something very special which is happening in a week or so's time. So we need to find something a little bit festive-y. Christmas is just around the corner, and with it comes the infamous Mansfield Matters Christmas special, this year titled A Cloughmas Cracker. On Friday the 20th of December at 7 p.m, we'll be live via all the usual methods for a night of fun and games, which I'm sure Clive will love. Make sure you come and join us. There'll be quizzes, there'll be games, there'll be lots of silly stuff for you to join in with. A Cloughmas Cracker takes place on Friday the 20th of December, live from 7 p.m, as we celebrate Christmas in the only way we know how, the Mansfield Matters way. Why? Because Christmas matters. Make sure you join us next Friday night for that. It will be an absolutely fantastic show. Lots of surprises coming up for you, lots of fun and games. And I've already heard, Nick, that Clive is already planning to come dressed as a Grinch because he infamously hates my quizzes, as does somebody else, Mr. Edge.
Alex, I've been stitched up 1 or 2 times over the years.
1 or 2 times over the years, I think that's a little bit unfair. I don't think we've ever stitched you up on this show, have we? Surely not.
To be fair, it was normally Cam that got stitched up, to be honest. So
Yeah.
it was all right in those situations. I'll give you that.
Well, you say that now, but you might not say that in 10 minutes' time, because one thing that we've introduced this series on the Mansfield Matters podcast at the end of the show is a little bit of fun, because when we started this season, collectively we thought it might be miserable for quite a lot of it. It turns out at the start of the season that it wasn't, but the last 5 games or so, maybe that misery is slightly there. So we decided to introduce a feature, the quiz section. And let's find out what we're going to be playing today, shall we?
Content loading. Selecting game. Game selected. Players stand by. What's in Craig's bucket?
I mean, who doesn't love what's in Craig's bucket? I want to get Nathan.
This is the
Edge-
people's choice, isn't it?
It is.
This is
I
the
want-
people's choice.
I want Nathan Edge's immediate reaction to finding out we're playing a game called What's in Craig's Bucket.
I don't get it, honestly. Right, I keep seeing references to it in the group chat, and I have no idea, and I just ignore it. And then last week, I was listening in. Obviously, I joined the podcast last week in the comments, and again, I had no idea what was going on. You were saying words. I even tried throwing some in myself, and I just don't know what's going on. So
The least
this'll
you
be
know, the
fun.
better, Nathan. With this, the less you know, the better. It's honestly, you're at no advantage in having any prior knowledge of this game.
that makes me feel a bit
In fact,
better,
you're at an
but,
advantage. I find you at an absolute advantage here.
actually, my internet.
Yeah, you
very
can't get
funny,
away that
very good.
easy.
Very good. Craig, you're a guest on this podcast. Have you played the bucket game yet? I think last time we did a quiz, didn't we? Last time.
Yeah, no, the time before Craig, you did what's in Craig's bucket, so I've played it.
So you don't sound. I mean, I don't know.
He turned the
I don't know
lights
what
off
to
a minute
make of
ago. He's
that.
trying to get out. He's trying to get out of it. He's just trying to slowly get down as to escape.
I don't know what to make of that. Nathan, I'll give you the reference. Go on, Craig.
Sorry, was it broken? I didn't realise. Was it broken then?
No, it's all good. So during the closed season, Nathan, when you lived in a part of the world that didn't have internet and you decided that you didn't love us anymore, so muted the group chat for about 4 months and didn't talk to us.
Yeah, remember it well.
Clive made many a reference to buckets and players having things in buckets, which me, Nick, Cam, Alan, Jim had no idea what it was on about, but it just happened every single day. So when we came up with the games, we decided to do What's in Clive's bucket. We came up with a nice little rhyme for it, and then we decided it didn't make sense saying What's in Clive's bucket because he's not the one with a bucket. I am. So it's now What's in Craig's bucket. You have got 4 questions each, which I can only answer yes, no, or maybe, and maybe give you a few little hints along the way. And all you've got to do, Nathan Edge, is guess what is in Craig's bucket. I'll give you a little bit of an additional clue because it's your first time playing the game. It's seasonal, and that is all I'm going to say. There is a little bit of a link to Stags in there as well.
That's what I was about to ask. Is it ever Stags related or is it not? But okay.
Very, very loosely. There is
Right.
something in the bucket that's Stags related, but not. So all you've got to do is figure out what's in Craig's bucket by listening to other people's questions, listening to my answers, and asking your own. This is the order in how you're going to ask your questions. Nick will go first, then it'll be Craig, then it'll be you, Nath. You've got 4 questions each. Are you ready to play what's in Craig's bucket?
The first before we ask a question, is it multiple items? Because
That's
that's
a
not really a
question.
question. That's not really a question.
I mean, I'm going to say yes, but
Oh, okay. So we're playing for multiple answers here. That's all I wanted to know. There's multiple answers here, Nathan. You're all right.
there are 2 things in.
I'm not all right.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. You're fine.
I mean, I can shake the bucket for you if you want, but I don't think it's going to help much.
Bring back the anagrams. That's all I'm thinking.
There you go. That's all you get.
Oh,
And
they're
yeah,
actually in the bucket.
yeah, they're in the bucket. We've got props.
Yeah,
mate.
this
is commitment.
We've got highbrow, mate.
This is
My
visual, audio,
God.
everything. This is
My-
Nathan. This is not just some 2-pit,
Tell you what,
Let's put this shit
TV
together.
talkSPORT has
prime
changed
time
you.
thing. This is upmarket. This.
Trust me, with the amount of money that they're paying us, we can't afford a bucket. That's why there's a hole in it. Only joking. Thanks, talkSPORT. Ching ching. Right, let's play what's in Craig's bucket. It's going to be Nick, Craig, then Nathan. 4 questions each. Play along at home if you want to. What's in Craig's bucket today?
Is there bucket music? Yeah, there is. There we go. Is it related to the Christmas tree?
Yes.
Does it make a noise?
Yes.
Does it smell?
It does leave a bit of a fusty smell. Yes.
It's his underpants again, isn't it?
That's where they've gone.
Does this item come in a variety of colours?
Yes, it does.
Does it? Can you hang it on the tree?
Yes, you can. Other people sometimes, though, do things every single day with the other accompanying item, and it's been known to be not very good.
I thought you could only say yes, no, or maybe.
I didn't give you helping hints along the way.
All right,
Nathan,
thank
your second question.
Does it, or could it, make a mess?
Yes, it could. Nick, third question.
I think I might know what one is. It's just the accompanying item.
That's why I threw it in, because I think you've all got the first item.
So there's a second item that you've added in. Is the secondary item also something that you put on a Christmas tree?
It can go on a Christmas tree. It can go anywhere. It moves. It's magical.
No. Maybe.
Okay.
Is woodrun what's in your bucket?
Do you want to just repeat that for me, Craig? You just broke up a little bit.
Sorry, would children enjoy what's in your bucket?
Yes, and I am DBS checked.
The follow-up question's not going to be very good for
I would say that the secondary item in my bucket is very much designed for the entertainment of children. Nathan,
I have seen you ply children with sweets, though, haven't I?
I'm magic. I make sweets appear at Nando's. It's fine.
This is going to get so much worse. But
fuck you know. Come on.
I'm sorry, but it's relevant. Is it? I can't even ask it. It's that bad. Is it forbidden for a child to touch it?
Alan Wilson would be on the floor now. That'd have finished him off. He'd have lost him at this point. He'd have gone.
I don't think it is forbidden for children.
Oh, is it not?
I don't think they generally do, but I think the parents tend to I don't want to ruin the magic, but...
Right. I'll explain that later.
Yes, please do. Yes. Final question each, please.
Is the secondary item related to the jolly fella in red?
Yes. Craig, your last question.
Is it related to an animal?
I don't know if they're animals or not. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say it's more of a species. From the North Pole. Go on, Nath. Or South Pole.
Is this thing as creative as Boateng's left boot?
Well, no, because Boateng's left boot is about as creative as my left nipple. But this thing.
Your nipple's not got a fan club.
Oh, it has. Only fans.
I'm here.
Exactly. What was your question, Nate? Something about creative or something. This particular secondary item is particularly creative. It tends to change if you do it right every single day. So there it is. Right. First and foremost, let's go with the first item, shall we? I'm going to ask you all in turn, same order again, to name my first item in Craig's bucket. Nick, what's the first item in Craig's bucket?
Is it tinsel?
Craig, what's the first item in Craig's bucket?
Christmas cracker.
Nathan, what's the first item in Craig's bucket?
Tinsel.
The correct answer is tinsel. Oh, there's a lot of tinsel there. Oh, it is indeed tinsel. There we go.
There we go.
Here we go. We're in now.
That's only fans material.
Oh, yeah. Get ready. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
What is the secondary item in my bucket, though? Nick,
Is it a elf on a shelf?
Craig.
Yeah, elf on a shelf.
Nathan.
Elf on a shelf.
It's the elf on the shelf. It's the naughty elf. Oh, what's
There we
that?
go.
What's that? Oh, there's another item in Craig's bucket. Oh, what's going off here? The naughty elf has written a note, ladies and gentlemen, for another bonus point. What does the note say? Nick.
This is
Closest.
planets.
I've got to take this.
Clive would have logged off. I know he's in the
Yeah,
comments now. He'd have logged off now. He'd have muted himself.
It itches.
And gone.
Right.
The question is, what is written on a blank piece of paper with no context we've never seen before?
Correct.
That's the question.
The closest to wins an extra point.
Is it? I have absolutely no clue. Is it? Can we please win on Saturday?
Craig?
Guess. Don't know.
Ho, ho, ho.
Nathan?
Good guess. Good guess.
I mean, these elves are magical, so I'm assuming they're seeing into the future. So it's going to be, thank God Nathan is back on the podcast.
The person who is closest is Nick. Dear Santa, all I want for Christmas is a win for the Stags. Love, Elfie. There you go.
Get in there.
Nick gets 3 points. Nathan gets 2 points, and it's the first time he's took part in this game section. And everybody else, thanks to Craig, gets a point. So everyone scored points this week. Points. Is that an omen for Saturday at Charlton, Nath?
Yeah, hopefully. I'll take it. Sorry, did you want more from me there?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
All right, sorry.
Funnily enough, yeah.
Well, I just thought the music stopped. There must be some sort of outro music here.
Yeah, he gave you a soundbite there, Craig. He gave you a perfect soundbite there, and you ruined it.
Nothing.
Asking for more.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I always want more from Nathan Edge. He always leaves me dissatisfied. But that's a topic for another day.
Can we go back to? Can we just explain the whole "you can't touch it"? Because I thought this was a rule.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
So this year, obviously, I've now got a 3-year-old in the house. So Elf on the Shelf is here doing his magic, but Emma's always had the rule that he's not allowed to touch it. So I just thought that was standard. I thought that was, because if you touch it, the magic is lost. And then apparently he touched it today, and he was bawling earlier because he touched it. So this is why it's fresh in my mind. Hence the reference. So anyway, yeah, that's why I asked that question.
I mean, from I'm going to answer that from someone that doesn't have children. What a question to ask! I've got no idea what the rules are on Elf on the Shelf. All I know
we
is
haven't got a no touching rule. The elf, yeah, she picks up the elf in the morning when she's found what he's been up to, and she'll put him back on his little
Then the
bed.
magic goes.
You don't want the magic during the day, do you?
We can't touch the elf in our house.
You're joking. Maybe we're doing it wrong.
Well, all this time that's where the magic.
Hang on. Nick's got a little girl though. Nathan's got 2 boys. Craig, what have you got?
Boy and a girl.
Well, that's just throwing a span into your works, hasn't it?
It has, mate. Yeah, he stumped me there. To be fair, he's had me on toast there. To be fair, hasn't he? Done me. Good.
I don't know what to think now.
So maybe this is, we don't need to be talking about strikers on this podcast anymore, do we?
No.
It's the biggest debate in this entire podcast over the last 90 minutes is whether or not you can touch an elf. Who'd have thought?
Is it
Elf
consensual?
matters.
You have to ask them. Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
This day and
Kind of
age,
worms for me. This says.
who knows?
Well, he's already touched it there. Look.
He says you can touch him. You are allowed to touch him, but you're not allowed to. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe Clough's been touching the players, not in that way, and that's why the. That's why the magic. That's why the magic's gone. We've lost the magic. Just stop touching Kilgore. Ever since that game,
my
we've
God.
not won since. We've not
I don't
won
think it's
since.
Clough you need to tell that.
Put his clothes back
Absolutely.
on, leave him alone and start again.
Oh dear.
And on that bombshell.
Good
to
night.
Good night.
On that
Mic drop.
absolutely.
God.
Oh my God, indeed,
my
Andy
God.
Garner. All right, can we turn it back to serious conversation, please, and and talk Charlton, please, Craig. You be the Alan Wilson figure of tonight's podcast and bring it back to normality. Although at this point, Alan Wilson probably would be on the floor, dead crying. So,
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Craig. So, I mean, tough game, certainly a tough game on Saturday. We did break the deadlock a little bit, didn't we, with the Stevenage winning the FA Cup? We needed that, but then we've lost again. But I think we will keep. It's on against Charlton. Craig's making me laugh now. But even a draw, we'll take a draw just to stop that losing run. But I'm confident we'll turn the corner.
Nick, do you want to give this elf a name?
I was trying to think of a footballer with elf in there, but nothing.
I've got it.
Go on.
No.
Elfie Kilgore. That's it.
Elfie Kilgore. Oh well, Nathan's just beat me to it.
He's got it, hasn't he?
Nathan's got a better one than mine because I was going to go Timmy Elfsnick.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
It's
That's not bad.
Scandinavian kind of. That'll work.
Yeah.
Send in your answers on a postcard for the next one with anything with elf in the name or anything Christmassy, really.
Great header of the ball. Anyway, Nick, final thoughts on Charlton on Saturday. I've gone delusional.
I don't want to lose because it'll be a long bus journey back. Can we just draw, please? And I'll be happy, and we'll go on to the next game. But I'll be happy with the draw. It's got to end at some point, hasn't it? It can't go on forever.
We owe him
Famous
one, don't we?
quote.
We do own them one.
In the words of
for two
Mick McCarthy,
reasons.
when Mick McCarthy got asked when his team were losing, it can't get worse, can it, Mick? It can't get any worse. And his words was, "Oh yes, it can." So maybe it can. I don't know, but let's hope not.
Nathan, you said we owe them one for two reasons. Number one and number two, please.
Well, number one is was it the League Cup where we got battered? 6-1?
Oh, the FA Cup,
FA Cup?
5-0 or whatever it was on the Tuesday
Something
night.
daft. I've had it 6-1 in my head, but
I
that's
know
one.
Nick's
And
got it.
That's the reason for giving us him.
Nicky
That
Jose.
derailed our season. That did.
Yeah.
You've
Hey,
got my
look.
number two. Well done.
Nathan, remember when we sponsored Nicky Jose's third shirt? Remember that?
Why do you think it was a flop?
Who cares?
Fair.
Yeah.
That's Nicky Jose's third shirt.
Oh, it might
Next-
have been his away kit. We've got the black one.
Yeah,
we'll
Oh,
do
you
the
got the
away
black
kit.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, if
maybe,
you want it. I'll
should we
pay you.
sponsor Ben Wayne?
Maybe not. Right, that is all we've got time for on tonight's Mansfield Matters podcast. Craig, it's been great to have you on with us again. 5 defeats on the spin. It is the season to be jolly, but will it be the season to be jolly come 5 p.m. on Saturday afternoon? Can the Stags finally get 3 points on the board, and can the Magic Elf foresee what's going to come?
Yeah, I think we will. I think we'll turn it around Saturday. A win or a draw, I'm sure we'll get one of those two. But I'm confident for Saturday.
Nick's off to unwrap to wrap up some more match-worn shirts for Christmas. I've told you once before, Nick, you can't get yourself presents and you can't give match-worn shirts to your wife in the hope that she'll go, here's another one for your collection.
I think that should be a thing. I think that should be. I don't think she'd know how to go about getting them in the first place, to be fair. But to be honest, I've got nothing on the horizon. I mean, the club pulled that shirt sale on the auction, so that stuffed that one up. So no, I'm just concentrating on the website at the minute, which is nearly done, by the way. I'll have to show you that a bit soon. It's nearly done. So
yeah, please do.
yeah,
Mate, I've just thought
that's my Christmas thing.
we could create our own. I know you've not done a YouTube video for a while, and Christmas is coming up.
No, I
So what
haven't.
we could do is we could do a Home Alone style sketch where we are Harry and Marv from Home Alone, and we break into the kit room to try and steal shirts.
I think with the level of security at Mansfield, we'd probably just have to knock on the door and it'd just open. You probably just walk out with them.
We would see. Nathan, it's been great to have you back on the podcast. Is this going to be your only appearance this year, or are you now, squeeching your way back in, ready for a ding dong with Cam to rejoin us on a full-time basis?
I'm hoping. I'm hoping I'll be here for a lot more. It depends on we'll have to look at the ratings after, won't we? If the listens have dropped off, then maybe I'll go back into hibernation for a bit, but we'll see. But I'm certainly going to come back for a ding dong with Cam. I've missed those days, and it also is a lot of it down to how Oliver continues to go to sleep without me. All that good fun of parenting. So this is the first 7:30 I've actually been available for 3 years. So yeah,
Well, we are very, very grateful and look forward to inviting you back on and seeing you again in the future. Hopefully, we might see an appearance from you on the Christmas special as well at some point. We'll wait and see. You never know, our Christmas wishes could come true indeed. And speaking of ding-dongs, make sure you join us next Friday for a Ding Dong Merrily on Live, when we'll be live with the Mansfield Matters Christmas special. For now, though, that is all we've got time for. My thanks to Craig, aka Fathead, aka the reigning champion of the Mansfield Matters podcast predictions. My thanks to Nick of Mansfield Town Shirts fame, and of course, the man who we've all missed, Mr. Nathan Edge. Maybe we'll see him again soon in the future. And of course, my thanks to you guys at home too. The Stags may well have been weathering the storm, but as the season of goodwill hits, surely a change in fortunes is round the corner. And if the elf has asked for 3 points, then surely Cluffy Claus is duly obliged to deliver on Saturday afternoon. As always, if you want to play along with podcast predictions, you can do so via the link in the description. You must do so no later than 1 hour and 1 minute before kickoff on Saturday afternoon. And a reminder to follow us on all things social media to find out who wins the week, and to join us next Friday for our Christmas special, a Cluffmas cracker, where there's a rumour that the big man, aka Santa Claus, is coming to town. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Good night.